Hey there, everyone. How are you doing? Sorry, that was a bad opening. I'll edit that out. Hey, everyone. How you doing? Um, just wanted to check in with you all in writing 123. Um, to start with, got a lot of your responses to the questionnaire that I sent out, and I'm going to try to go through and respond to everybody individually, especially people who might need various things or whatever. There are close to 70 responses so far, so it'll take me a second. But I wanted to address the overall tenor of your responses to begin with, um, because they're very understandable. And one of the first things that I saw a number of times is I just feel the one thing I regret is this lost time. Maybe for the seniors or just the activities and the things that I was going to do with my friends or whatever this year. Um, and I just want to say, yeah, totally understand. It's life doesn't go as one expects, and especially at this time in your life, it feels as if there's no going back or getting back that time. Um, I got married very young, which is why we have 5 kids, some of whom are almost adults. Uh, well, and I basically dropped out of college my junior senior year. I was working while my wife finished up, and we got pregnant, et cetera, et cetera. And it ended up taking me 7 years to finish my undergraduate degree. Um, and it feels like an eternity when you're younger and you feel like I'm not on the right track, and all that sort of thing. And I understand, but it'll be okay. Most of you are freshmen, and this will be a memory that you'll share with all your friends when you come back and for the rest of your life. As I've said, this is a um, really once in a century sort of thing, or maybe a few times in a century if you include the world wars and whatever. And so it's disruptive. Also, I want to say that I understand those of you who just say, like, online class is not my thing and I'm really struggling with it. Well, I don't know if I've mentioned, but story time here. So I flunked or got a D in, I don't really remember. This is a long time ago. But I think I flunked 3 classes. No, I did. I flunked 3 classes in college. 2 of them were online classes. And in fact, it was the same class that I flunked twice and then passed the 3rd time. It wasn't a difficult class at all, but I was not great at doing the online format. And this is back when it was like basically website and very low tech, really. But I was not great at that, and remembering, oh yeah, I'm supposed to post these things. Like, I can't even begin to keep track. So I understand that, and that's normal, and that's a common thing. And so, I'm sorry. No, I have, because of that, tried to make all my classes as streamlined as possible in this time. And so for writing 123, look, the only thing you're really required to do, to pass the class, is just turn in your final paper. You will get grades, just participation basically, for turning in the 3 pages of your draft week after week. 3 pages yesterday, 3 pages next Monday, and we're going to take 2 weeks for the final 3 pages, so you can have some breathing space. You'll have 9 pages done. But anyway, that's not a huge part of your grade. But the point is, all you're doing is working on your final research paper. If you can watch the videos that I'll continue to be posting with more lesson-oriented stuff, great. But I want to make it as easy as possible to know that you're getting things done. And some people said, like, well, I'm not sure, like, if am I doing everything? Well, reach out to me, and shoot me a chat on Teams, or shoot me an email, or let's set up a phone conversation, whatever. But really, just be working on your paper, and and I'm there to work with you on your paper throughout. To that end, we'll be I'll have available one-on-one Zoom conferences for your paper if you want, or phone conversation, or email. I'll probably try to do we'll definitely do peer review. And that's towards the end. You don't need to worry about it. I'll say, okay, however much of your draft you have done, hopefully 9 pages, hopefully, wherever we're at, I'm going to assign you to send it to 2 people. They're going to send it to you, interact with everybody's papers. Okay. But that's it. Be involved when you can, watching the videos, trying to deepen your understanding of what we're trying to do in a research paper, ask questions as you have them, etc. Okay. So, online learning, feeling like you're not sure what you're doing with class. I get it. Hopefully it's simple enough, but ask questions. That's what I'm here for. I'll answer as quickly as I can. And if you don't hear from me in a day or two, resend the email, because the fact of the matter is that I'm getting dozens and dozens of messages, which is great. We're all online, right? So, but don't hesitate to resend if you need to. And then, some people had said, I just feel like I'm growing distant from my friends and they're not reaching out, or I just feel like I'm missing out on this. I get it. And yeah, this is just a pretty unique time. I will say, try to, put yourself in the position of the other people. Your friends are certainly not ignoring you. You know, um, they are going through their own things, some of which they might not even be able to share, or you might not be aware of, and if no matter what, like, just this time itself is very distracting, and it makes it hard to be intentional about things. So, as we tell our kids when they're like, oh, well, I just feel like this person, whatever, doesn't like me, be the friend that you want to have. Reach out. The more others centered you are, counterintuitively, the more, and by other centered, I don't mean trying to get, attention from other people, obviously. The more you try to think, what would make this person stay? What can I do to make this person not feel lonely that's across the country or whatever? The more you do that, the more you'll actually find that you're the kind of friend that people want. But regardless, you'll find that there's a satisfaction, a deeper satisfaction in that actual and real love that you're extending and giving as a gift to others, that is as sustaining and more sustaining than just having a bunch of people trying to, be friends with you. Anyway, little advice there, I guess. Kind of finally, with some of the questionnaire responses, I mean, I don't know how to put this, but like, life can be crappy, and it's okay. Like I said, it took me 7 years to finish college, and then while I was trying to do so, we had our first kid, and then I was installing pool tables, and I've told you a random story about installing pool tables as part of our summarizing mantra, but I was installing pool tables, with this other guy driving a minivan around to nice homes and kind of being ignored by the homeowners, and it just like felt like lost years. Like, what am I doing? I'd gotten into college with scholarships and and then like had to slow down. I was taking one class a term for, a year or so, and then just stopped. And then was finally able to go back, work or go to school a little more full time, finished up finally. At the time, I went through years, I was just like, what's going on? What am I doing with my life? Why don't I know, why am I on this track where what I thought I was going to do isn't working out? And, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, et cetera, et cetera. That's, a lot of your 20s will be like that. Most of you aren't even in your 20s yet, but so don't worry about that. This is really, it'll be a few months. It'll be maybe a year overall of impact. Be excited to, the reunions next fall when we come back to school will be amazing, anyway. So, so now just real briefly, I wanted to cover that questionnaire, even though I had some more content-oriented things I want to talk to you about. So I'll just briefly touch on some of that, because you're drafting, you're getting into it. First point, paragraphs. Paragraphs are the building block and the fundamental unit of a research paper. I know I've mentioned this in class. Each paragraph, think of it your high school teachers might have said, oh, well, each paragraph communicates one idea. Okay, good. But think of it in terms of you're fully fleshing out one statement. Point whatever in your outline. Chocolate is healthy. I keep using that example, but chocolate is healthy because it lowers your overall lipids in your blood in this way. And whatever, I'm making it up. So to begin expanding that, say, well, who says that? Okay, look at your sources. Hopefully you've already put this in your outline. Who says that? Like that thing that I'm, who agrees with me, that point that I'm making? As Smith says, as Jones says. Who disagrees? As Edward argues, bring them up. What are the implications? What should we do because of it? What questions remain, et cetera, et cetera. The way to expand a paragraph and a paper thereby is to keep asking like the next logical question. Who might disagree with this? Why would they disagree? Is it reasonable? Why do I not take their opinion? And how do I prove that, that their argument isn't as valid as mine? So each paragraph, think of it as one unit, one thought that you fully delve into. Don't leave a stone unturned. And then between your paragraphs, you've heard transitional sentences or whatever, and each paragraph should have a topic sentence, true and true. But between your paragraphs, just think in terms of, okay, I just said this, now why am I moving on to this next paragraph? What's the logic there? And you create a transition. And you normally think of it like a chain, like you link to the paragraph you just said, and then you preview the one you're about to do. So although many people have argued that chocolate is healthy because it lowers the blood lipids in X, Y, and Z, some people say that the blood lipids aren't actually what's most important. And you're often running with your new topic. Okay, so that's paragraphs, point one. Next thing I want to say, and final thing I want to say to wrap this up, citations, in-text citations, and avoiding plagiarism. Okay, so the first thing is just simply, I noticed at the beginning, but now you're writing. There's temptation to plagiarize, and not just like the kind of temptation like, well, I want to make this easier or I want to cheat. I'd say almost nobody's like, I just want to cheat. Well, at any rate, it's unlikely. However, you get pressured, you get behind, you feel like, oh, I don't know what to say, or like, well, this is kind of, this is their work, but I'll just change it a little and kind of like, oh, that'll fill out my paper. Decide now, before you're under the gun, Tuesday of finals week, the day before your paper's due in, about 4 weeks, 5 weeks from now, 4 weeks, I think. And you're just feeling so pressured, and you feel like, I don't have a choice, or I gotta get this done. Wow, why did I leave this? And don't put yourself there. Just decide now, no matter what, I won't plagiarize. Even if I feel like I have a crappy paper, I'm not gonna plagiarize. That's the right thing to do, and you'll feel better about yourself, but also it just never, it always gets caught. So don't do it. You'll just fail the paper and have to redo the class. And for those who've had to do that, happy to have you back, and it is what it is. But the point is just don't put yourself in a difficult position. Okay, but so then in-text citations, people have asked, and I've been corresponding with people about, okay, when do we use it? And what does it look like with this kind of setting? Well, the first thing to note is for all of you, many of you will be using different citation styles, MLA, APA, whatever. Get yourself familiar with that one, and one of the best ways to do that is to get onto the Purdue OWL, which is OWL stands for Online Writing Lab, and that's Purdue, the university, PURDUE, because they have great resources for all the major citation styles and are just very clear and thorough. And of course, I can't have in my head thousands of pages of guidelines for each style type and then give you advice on it. So, that's obviously your responsibility to know the specifics of what you're doing. However, overall, broadly, it's good to have a clear concept of what you're trying to do with your in-text citation. So these are not your bibliography at the end, not your works cited at the end, whatever your style calls it. Not that. Think of that, as we've said, as your toolbox. You've got your hammer in there. You've got your saw in there. You've got your screwdriver. Your sources by Jones, Smith, whatever. Those are your sources. They're in your toolbox. Even if you use that hammer once, it goes in your toolbox at the end to show, like, here are all the tools I used throughout the paper. That's your works cited. That's your bibliography. But when you're in a paragraph on a particular page and you're saying something and it's not information that you already know or that's common knowledge, that you probably read somewhere or that you're certainly reading from one of your sources, always you use an in-text citation. It's where you have parentheses at the end of your sentence, and if it's a quote, you would say, as so-and-so says, quote, blah, 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 unquote, parentheses, page number, if it's MLA, or whatever your style says that you put there. That is your little marker as you go throughout your paper that you say, hey, I'm shout out to this person, shout out to this person, shout out to this person. Now, what do you do if you're not quoting somebody? This is one of the not exactly gray areas, but it's one of the judgment calls that you have to make with citations. Okay, you're not quoting this person, but you kind of are getting information from Jones and Rogers for this paragraph. Well, there is some wiggle room. We start by saying, no matter what, make it really clear that you know and that you are communicating that this is not your information, you're reporting it from somebody else. If you do that, you're never going to be in danger of plagiarism, even if it's like, oh, well, here, this actually, you need a comma here and then a page number, whatever. Those things are fine. Those aren't going to kill you or even really hurt you. Those are the technicalities that you want to clean up as you're revising. But just make sure it's clear, I'm getting this from somebody else. But for example, if you're getting a bunch of information from one source throughout a paragraph, great. You can, it kind of takes a particular paragraph to make the judgment call. But if you're overall giving kind of a summary of a topic, you say, as Smith says, we can understand this as a concept that, you're not quoting, you're paraphrasing. You go through, and then maybe at the end of the paragraph or at the end of that section where you've kind of summarized the overall argument of Smith, maybe, after a few sentences, then you can do a parenthetical in-text citation where you say, Smith 27, or even maybe if it's really clear that you've been referencing the name of the author throughout, just the page number 27. If, for example, you want to kind of really report on something at length, another way to do it is to use a footnote along with that to say, which we're not really doing, I'm not forcing you to do footnotes, but if you did, you would have a footnote that says something like, for a thorough explanation of this, see, Smith, page 27, 63, and 74. And that's kind of like a helpful note to your reader that also acts as a clearly an in-text citation. But the point is, it's a little different when you're paraphrasing information in a paragraph than when you're quoting. If you have any questions, shoot me an email or a message on Teams. But the bottom line there is that that's not going to be a make or break thing, as long as you're very clear, I got this information from somebody else. Don't mind the kids screaming outside if you can hear it. They're playing this, running around with sticks, chasing each other game. So final note on that, as I've said before, if you feel stressed, you're like, I don't know how to do the citation right. Look, if you just put parentheses and said, I got this from somebody else, the author's name is Jones, and I don't know how to cite it, parentheses, period. Great, it's going to be docked a little bit, but it's not going to be plagiarism, and it's not going to, cause you to fail or anything like that. Okay, that's it for now. I'm going to sign off. Sorry, it's a little disjointed, but we're all doing our best out here. Hope that you are able to find ways to be intentionally, intentionally you. You don't need to feel pressure like, well, I should, I guess I should work out all the time, or I should be writing a book or something, just hopefully you're able to ride this time out while putting in place habits that draw you closer to your loved ones. For those of you with some sort of faith, draw you closer to God, whatever the case may be. Meanwhile, I'm here for you. Be in touch. I will respond as quickly as I can, and I am praying for all of you. and hope you're doing okay. Talk to you later. Bye.